So, I'm going to let the Explorer go first. Okay. And then I guess we'll just move clockwise around. So it looks like it'll be Explorer, Climber, Water Carrier, Meteorologist, and then back to Navigator.
Okay.
Or should we work on our own tactics?
Or do we collaborate? The video showed everybody talking.
Exactly. You guys can talk to each other. You can tell me what to do. I mean, I'm just going to be moving the pieces.
Okay.
But when you move, whatever order you pick to move, that's the same order that you'll move the whole game.
So now, do we just do one movement
You
at a
get
time?
4 actions.
And we use all 4 of them at one time?
You don't have to, but you certainly want to, yeah.
Okay.
So you'll take your 4 actions, I will do the storm. Climber will take her 4 actions, I will do the storm. Water Carrier will take 4 actions, I will do the storm. Meteorologist, storm. Navigator, storm, and then back to you. And it keeps going around.
So do you all come up and do this collaboratively, or do you want to do it singularly?
Well, that's what I'm saying,
So
is
you
that's
can
why we
look up
have
there.
them here, so you can either, if it's easier for you guys to stand or drag chairs around, that's fine. They got very uncomfortable with the chairs last time, because everybody was on top of each other.
I was curious.
Yeah, if you want to just
So
watch
you can start that and then move later if you want, it's up to you.
Okay. Now, I'm really unclear as to, you said we could flip the first
Yeah,
one.
yeah, you can flip the first, and I will do that, and then you'll see what's under it, and maybe get something, maybe not.
What does everybody
Do you
think?
accept being an advisor to doing things, or?
Oh, and you get to make the choices. You guys are the.
So the choice is to flip it or not flip it?
The choice is to explore this square with you flipping it over.
Okay.
He could move, or he could clear one of these sand, and he could clear these if they had any, but they don't.
But as it is now, he can't move.
Yeah, he can move. You can move when it's just one sand.
Oh,
You can't move when the sand is more reddish.
So if I'm understanding correctly, the optimal thing to do is be to clear sand.
Ultimately, you have to get them flipped to find out where the parts are. But yes, clearing sand is important to do that.
And this clearing sand and flipping them, those
That
are
would be
two separate
That would be 2 actions.
Okay.
Yeah. And moving to actually be there to do the flipping. I mean, you can clear from here, but you couldn't flip till you're on the card.
Okay, so I don't have to move to this one.
Right. You can clear the sand, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well,
Say flip it.
Yeah.
Start with that one. All right, so there's 1 action. And basically just the ruins of the city, and so you get a piece of equipment.
okay.
So you now have a terrascope.
Telescope, and that allows me to see under, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this one is.
But only under one.
Yep, only under 1. And just as a piece of advice, it's best to use that if there's one that has got a whole lot of sand on it that may or may not be critical, or to check which of the 3 water spots is the oasis versus which one is the mirage. Those
That
are-
being said, you don't have to use it right now.
Yeah, you can use it
while
anytime in the
everybody's at their optimal levels.
Yeah, you can use it anytime in the game. You can use it when it's not your turn. You can say, hey, wait a minute, let me check that for you before you do something. So that's,
But manager over there, you have just gained an additional resource.
Yeah. That, it would seem to me to hang on to it would be advantageous instead of looking down.
Cindy, there's a blue Sharpie over here too, if you want to use a different color.
what's it called again?
This is a
Terrascope. So you've got 3 actions left.
I have 3 actions left. All right.
Help them out, guys. What do you think?
Any preference?
Clear sand.
Clear sand sounds good to me.
Which direction are you going to go?
Well, we don't need water now. We are going to need some.
Yeah, you can clear it, just not flip
So
it.
I'd like to clear it.
Okay, so clear that. That was 2.
Anybody have an objection to that? Okay.
Does that mean we have to move onto it? Or-
If you were going to flip it, you would have to be there. But right now, it's just there available to you.
Okay.
So if I were to move to one of these, because I can move back.
Yep.
The move counts as an action.
Yep.
Flipping it would count as
Yep.
second action.
So this would be 3, and then flipping would be 4.
Okay.
Or this way, or whichever.
And let me ask this, can everybody move sand or just?
No, everybody can, yeah. Yeah, that'll be on the back side of your card as the 3 or 4 things that everyone can do. Yeah.
Explore.
Since I'm the only one that can move diagonally, I think the advantage would be to move diagonally.
Yeah.
All right, so there's 3.
Uh-huh.
And are you gonna move again and be further out? Are you gonna flip that one, or are you gonna clear sand?
My inclination would be to flip it.
Sounds good.
That's right.
Oh, right, you're not in that order. Yellow is not
It's
in
green.
color. Green is. Okay, so what you have discovered is the time wheel is somewhere in this row, but that's only right now. But if this card moves up or down, that means the part has moved.
And they know that because the
Because
bottom corner,
The bottom corner tells us which, and the arrows tell us the direction. So somewhere there will be a card like that. The arrows will be on the top and the bottom, up and down. That'll give us the other coordinate.
Nice.
Okay, so that's your 4 actions.
So I'm done.
So you're done.
Do I retain this? or
Yeah,
put it up
yeah,
here?
you can retain it, yeah,
Okay.
until you trade it to someone or hand it off. So I will do the storm. Oh, look, storm picks up. Lovely. So now next turn, I will do 3 instead of 2. So now the eye of the storm moves this direction, which means he actually and the part move that direction. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can't quite see that on the. See, it's how big the camera is. There we go. And there, so sounds good.
okay, we've gone 1 round, right?
Yes, we've gone around once.
Okay, so a couple of observations, even though I stepped out. 1, make sure that you're listening to the rest of your departments. 2, already have we learned how important it is to know what your role is, but to have a fundamental understanding of the skill sets of other members on either your team or cross-departmentally in your organization. And how often do we run into situations where we make assumptions about what other people can and can't do without actually having an idea of what their responsibilities are, okay? 3rd, I had a question back here about whether or not the manager can override a decision for the team. And I think that the team should make that decision on their own departmentally. Meaning, if you're in your organization, ultimately your boss does have the authority to overturn any decision you make. That being said, how often have you been in situations where your boss has overturned a decision that you've made and made a situation worse? So I think that warrants maybe you all having a conversation, an interdepartmental meeting on whether or not you want to grant the manager the authority to overturn a decision, as opposed to give input, which he's doing, or if you want to believe that you were hired for the department that you were hired by your manager because he has confidence in your ability to do the job. So I'd like you all to discuss that for a minute, and then directly to the manager. It's very, very hard to see people do things and let them do them, isn't it?
It is.
So, you all can contemplate that as you go into the next round, but that's a decision that you have to make. I know where I would go with that decision, in that I would have an expectation that my manager would give input to corrective action, and unless something was absolutely critical, meaning somebody was gonna die, I don't know that I would grant them the authority to overturn a decision. But that's up to you all.
Okay.
Okay, now based on that, and looking at this board, you have your team, your department's pretty well spread out at this point. Remember that the goal is to get off the island alive. Given 1 full round of play, I'm still seeing a lot of sand out there that's gonna create some barriers, and I still don't see that anybody's found a water source.
Or the parts.
Yeah, we haven't used any water
Right.
as of yet.
Right
As of
now,
yet.
you have not used it, and if you find it with only one person there, they're the only ones who benefit, other than the water carrier knowing where it is for future reference.
Don't we already found sheep?
Well, you did find the one piece as it's always here, right?
Well, we found the LZ.
And you found one coordinate of the sundial, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, which has moved all over.
Yes.
So,
You know a little bit of information, but you don't have a ton yet.
So when you're thinking about strategy moving forward, you now have strategized and separated yourselves for the most part from one another. But remember, when you work at your organization, in your department, you have a responsibility for something. Somebody else in a different department has a responsibility for something. Somebody else in a different department has a responsibility for something. Where you come together is water carrier, climber, meteorologist, explorer, navigator. But individually, you need to find these parts to help each other achieve the ultimate goal. So don't forget that piece of things.
And now we're back to the Explorer.
Go ahead.
Okay. Did you not want us to talk about his role first?
Yeah, I absolutely do.
Okay. I feel like her that his role certainly is an advisement role, and he's asked questions and he's been engaged, and that's fine. But as far as directing, not unless it's essential, one of us is going to die with a movement or not having water or something, then it would be important for him to bring that to our attention. You all feel the same way?
I feel like before we make any decision, that we can take managers' advice first as a reference.
You mean we get his input on all decisions? Is that what you're saying?
Is that how it happens at your job?
We're at a critical moment. Or just wait.
So critical moment being you're gonna die.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that idea.
But you guys
In
can
case
make
see something.
at least the
special.
basic decisions yourself. Okay. All right. We're good?
Because that's
Tatiana Minging, Sweden.
that's how we know each.
Yeah, I appreciate all the questions you mentioned, definitely, so we can think about more before we make decisions.
It's definitely giving us a
decisions
perspective.
being made, how we just,
But do we know each other's skills? Where is the really?
you can ask a question if you don't know something.
Ask the department.
What's that thing you do?
Right.
Okay.
So are we okay to move on then?
Sure.
I'm okay.
Okay.
Okay, great.
I guess.
Yeah.
Climate is black. Right. Okay, so move one.
Can I bring the?
Oh, you can, yeah.
That's one action, right?
That's one, yeah.
Is this okay?
What's that called?
Yeah, she's just carrying around. So that was one.
Then
What's your reason?
Can I ask a question?
My question would be, is this one with water source?
Exactly, because you have a water carrier here, and it's better to
And Dee's asking a question about why she feels the need to continue to carry the water carrier with her.
Yeah, she does have the lowest water. That is
Okay.
a legitimate potential issue. The climber starts at the lowest and everyone is now down one. So you could go together to that card
the water source, right?
and flip it, and if it was water, you would both gain 2. Now, neither one of you can carry 2 extra right now, so it's slightly less optimal than a little bit later, but that is an option. Or as long as you stay around the water carrier, if you ever need to, she can give you water on her turn,
I think that's kind of the point
as
that
long as you're
we
adjacent.
might be getting.
Yeah.
okay, I can take up to 4 actions. Okay, I'll move up and flip 1.
Up this way?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're gonna do that, I would suggest bringing her with you, only because you both benefit if it happens to be water. Other than that, I wouldn't move her.
But we can only flip that once, right?
Well, you flip it once, it only works for people standing on it.
Yeah.
So they will both go back up to max, but then because the water carrier knows it's water, she can keep going back later to help you all out.
Okay, okay, I'm gonna interject here. That being said, the amount of water that they can get is not an amount of water that they both need at the moment. So that's actually
Exactly.
wasting a resource.
It's potentially wasted.
Potentially wasting a resource.
Mhm.
I think second to that, and it's an observation from my perspective, and this happens at our organizations all the time. And I'm speaking for the water carrier, and I would like you to know that the water carrier has not said a word to me. But at a certain point, the water carrier at this stage of the game has not been allowed the authority to make her own decisions. At all,
Because I've been picked up and carried with.
every time.
Well, she made her own the first time, but that was it. Exactly, all the rest of the movement has been someone else.
And to that extent, that is could be an implication departmentally that other people don't trust the water carrier to do their job when it's time for the water carrier to do their job.
Or that the water carrier doesn't have enough confidence in her own ability to say, no, leave me here. I can do it. Leave me alone.
Okay, so back to the climber.
Okay, yeah.
Now, if the climber dies, it's gonna be the water carrier. But you see how that can play out at work is if you're reliant on somebody to achieve a goal every single time, and that's potentially negatively impacting that other person from getting done what they need to be done, then they're going to be less engaged in doing the job and not understand necessarily, A, how to assert themselves effectively, or B, say no effectively, or C, be perceived as not being able to do their job.
All right.
So for a desert game, see, it does tie in.
Yeah. One we don't care about. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4. So we take all 4 actions to clear that, if that's what you were going to do.
You guys need to start clearing some of that.
The sand, right?
Yeah.
Too much.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, these 3, and this one, even what they are. These 2, and this one. So the only one we really don't care about is this one here. We know it's Mirage.
My question became probably last someone.
Only if White had it. Or sorry, if Yellow had it. So yeah, you could
She does.
ask the meteor or the water carrier for her dune blaster and then use it on this
Yeah,
tile.
and then we can clear something.
And then you could see what that is and do some other things. Are you cool with giving them your, okay, so they will borrow that, they will use it, it will be out of the game, but you will automatically clear that for free. And now you have your 4 actions to see what that is or clear other sand or whatever. So yeah, so we move for 1, we flip, alrighty, for 2. So now we know this is here, buried in the sand.
Oh.
So someone will have to get there at some point. So you have 2 actions left. You can either clear 2 of these and start going towards that thing. You could clear 2 of these and get that one prepared for someone else, theoretically. Or you could do your stuff on the deck and help mitigate. But yeah, someone's got to get up there at some point.
How many?
There's 3 on that one, and then there's 2 on that one.
How many more left?
Oh, they have 2 actions left.
Do you want to use this one or do you use this?
Yeah, that's what I said. Either changing that down to only be flipping 1 card, or
Can I ask a question?
And then we can clear one.
How long does it take?
yeah, 2 actions left.
How long does it take to get to?
I'm the next one.
Goodness.
Yeah, she's next.
Yeah.
So if they
That's a concept.
use their last 2 actions to reduce this, then we're only flipping the top card, greatly reducing the chances of a sun beats down, which does help out the
Yeah.
person with 0 sun. So that's probably a good idea.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so we're only going to flip one. It is not the sun beats down, and it's the storm going up, which you can't go up. Good on both counts. Okay, so now it is the navigator's turn, who is here.
Okay, before the navigator goes, I'm interjecting.
Yep.
And nothing's wrong or right, just again, an observation. When you are doing a job in your department, you can get very consumed with doing the mechanics of what your job is. If you look at what this board looks like right now, after going around
3 times,
three
I think.
times so far,
This will be the end of the third one.
okay, what you'll notice is that we've been so focused on what we need for ourselves that we are losing sight of get off of the island alive. And by saying that, if you think about when the game started, yes, every time the storm moves, we add sand. But you still have, what is it, 8 tiles?
1, 2, 3, 4, but we don't really care about that one. 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep.
You still have 8 tiles with critical pieces of information that you need in order to successfully achieve your goal. And in being so focused on your survival in your role, we've lost sight of achieving the goal. So think about that when you're in your work environment, when you get so hyper-focused on what your role is, that you forget about where your piece fits into the bigger picture. Okay? So, because what we're doing now is we're not necessarily spending a lot of time working towards the achievement of the goal as much as we're spending a lot of time cleaning up a mess we've made because we lost sight of the goal. Does that make sense?
So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 left. But this one we know is a mirage. So only 7 tiles left that you had not explored. But 6 out of those 7 are critically buried in sand. You knew where a part was, and it was critically buried in sand. So you hadn't gotten it yet. And that meant the silver part hadn't been found and the yellow part hadn't been found. So of those 6 out of 7 or 7 out of 8, whatever it was, 2 of those were the critical piece of information to find the part. And of course, because everything's blocked, it would have taken an awful lot of digging to get that out. I'm just going to